and your tone needs
by
to
the
be
linemen.
set by people that are closest to the ball.
Mhm.
And if now there are outliers, right? You can get a Mike Minner, you can get a Mike Brown, but even Mike Brown had an incredible D line, right? But usually you stand a chance to be better.
Mhm.
So with their depth along the front of both
I'll say
fronts,
both sides.
man, they can flat out get after it. So if I'm a running back,
Mhm.
or I'm a wide receiver, or I'm a tight end, or I'm a DB or a linebacker, and I'm watching these guys
Get after it.
get after it.
Yeah.
Come on, man. Like there's a reason that Isaac Gifford acts like a D lineman.
Yeah.
Oh,
So the way he's wired.
no, I am a little biased.
Okay.
Right? But at least I'm biased for a good reason.
Yeah.
He kicked our tail in high school.
Oh, yeah.
And he let me know that he kicked our tail. And I kind of liked it. I'm like, you know what?
You can appreciate
you
that.
competitive son of a gun. We'll give it to you again the second time.
Yeah.
Nah, that happened. But anyway,
it's a good idea, Lo.
it carried over.
Yeah.
And it's like, if they can get there, I don't know about like wins and losses, but I do know
they're going to be better off
if
for
that competitive it's kind of nasty. And I'm watching old guys get into young guys by putting their arm around them. Now they're getting in their bunda.
Yeah.
But it's like, hey man, we do it like I like that because I want to see how that manifests itself over time.
Yeah, and I think when you brought up how good each of these guys looks, just their conditioning and how good.
And I'm far from a
sure,
but you can tell work.
But I will say, one of the things that we always look for, why are there always mental errors, right? Why are there always these mental mistakes and procedural penalties, and we screw up in the most inopportune time? Well, when's the most inopportune time, right? Usually late and tight, which is where you are your most fatigued, right? The first thing to go when you start to get tired, it's not your body, it's your focus.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Right? So maybe the simple answer to all of this is that guys haven't been in good enough shape for the last 10 years. Maybe that's why we see all the mental errors.
Yeah, I was listening to...
because if your body starts to not feel right, your head goes fast.
Just having this conversation about... because I was with Mike a lot early because, I mean, that was my roommate in Carolina. Like, we used to be really, really close. So it was good to... we were talking about Campbell and Coach... him being his time at Campbell, not Coach Campbell, even though we're going to get to Coach Campbell here in this conversation. So Coach Rhule is coming out behind us, and they're talking like they're just kind of going back and forth. And Mike was a guy that was he's big barrel chested guy, even though he's a little guy. And so looking the part was always important to Mike. Like anybody that's played with him, ask Vila, ask any of those guys, right? Like looking the part was important. And we're getting a tour of how some of the weights work, and Coach Campbell and Kristen, who's the nutritionist, who everybody loves, arguably their two best employees. And Coach Rhule said, it's a little different. We wanted to bring back some of the bench pressing components and, upper body strength and how we kind of do it and Mike cut him off. He goes, there's something that breeds confidence when you're strong. And Coach Rhule, he's like, yes, like I want my guys looking. I want them yoked. And I'm telling you,
look at the guys he had at Baylor.
So the greatest thing ever. There were a couple of other coaches in attendance, fresh off of coming back from. I'm not going to say the school. A school in the Big 12. They've gone to a clinic, and the first thing, now this I mean, it's objective, right? Because there's no skin in the game. The very first thing that was said, boy, on the hoof, this is a much bigger team than we saw 3 days ago.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm like, some of these guys and, taking your vitamins and the calorie count and eating, or talking to a guy like Jalen Lloyd in the off season, and I joke with him, hey, are you getting that to go bag? Are you getting that to go bag?
Yeah.
Because there's a method to the madness.
And Jalen Lloyd's a great example, right? Because that's a dude that if he loses even a quarter of a step, loses a ton of his value to that football team, right? But you still need him to look like a football player, not a track star.
Oh, yeah.
Right?
Yeah.
So he's a great example because we heard this with Frost, right? We heard about, we got to get bigger. We got to look like a Big Ten team. We got to get bigger. But they did that at the sacrifice of being able to move still.
Yeah, I just thought it was
right.
Not hee ha ha, but I thought it was, especially on the heels of what you just said, because you have no idea what that we're going here at this about the confidence and being like, they totally vibed over the emotional confidence. And so I started thinking about, we'd have these conversations about self-esteem and feeling good about yourself. And I would talk about Maslow's hierarchy as it kind of like relates to sports. Like why this no fear of failure. This was the whole narrative a handful of years ago. And I remember saying to myself, you know what? It's interesting. Like if you don't feel good about the way you look, you don't demand very much of yourself. No. Right? Like, and so the counter, the antithesis of that, or on the other end, if you do like the way you look, you typically want to set a standard for those around you.
That's why I like wearing suits. Feel good about the way I look. I become a better version of myself.
Interesting.
Because I feel good about how I look.
Yeah. So just to see them vibe over that, and it's something I should know, but I don't pay attention to it and think of it like that. I would say something like, oh man, there's something about being in better shape than your opponent that wears on them. Like it takes their soul.
No, but there's a mental part.
They're taking it one step further. Yeah. If I feel strong and I look strong,
I'm going to impose my will on other people.
100%.
And there's two things there, right? A, your focus is easier to maintain when you're not tired or when you feel good. B, that work lets you know you can still perform at a high level even when you're tired.
100%.